All right, everybody, welcome back to Living Our American Dream. Matt here. So today's video, we're gonna do something that all of you guys have been asking me over and over and over again, and that's this camper behind me. Everybody wants to know what it weighs, and I have estimated that up until this point. And today, I have the camper on the Jeep. We're gonna take it down to a weigh station and get it weighed. So we're all gonna know exactly what this camper pod weighs. Stick around. All right, so like I said, ever since I built this thing, I sat down and did the video of my approximate cost and my approximate weight, and then a little demonstration on how to unload this thing and load it back on the trailer. The number one question that I continuously get asked from viewers of these videos is, how much does it weigh? Now, I intended to build this thing to be able to be pulled behind my Jeep Wrangler, and my Jeep Wrangler has a towing capacity of 3,500 pounds. And I don't know exactly what my trailer weighs, but it is a heavier duty trailer. And when I estimated the weight, I had a few people balk at my estimate, thinking that I was a little bit too high. Well, I think this trailer weighs probably around 1,200 pounds by itself without the back gate on it. The back gate's pretty heavy, but I take that off when I put the trailer on. So I'll take the weight of the trailer and the pod together as a unit right now, and we'll have to estimate what we think the trailer itself weighs to know what just the pod weighs. But what everybody's more interested in is the actual weight of what I'm towing behind me. So that would include the trailer. So that's what we're gonna do. Got a few minute drive over here to a travel station that has a certified cat scale, and we're gonna go and get it weighed there. All right, let's see if we can find the scale. There it is to the left. On this side, so we'll pull up to the front. All right, so I unhooked the trailer on the first pad. We'll leave the Jeep sit right here. We'll run inside and see if they can print me out a ticket. All right, so we're back in the shop. Where does this leave us at? Well, we got our weight. Drum roll, please. The number everybody has been waiting for is 2,300 pounds. If you can see this, let me see if you guys can read this. Get right in here close. 2,320 pounds. So, in case you didn't pay attention to what I did there, I pulled up on the scale. I completely disconnected the trailer from the Jeep, pulled the Jeep off the scale, and then they took the weight that way. So 2,320. Now here's what I have in the camper. I have most of the gear that we would normally need on a typical camping trip, including the refrigerator. I have 2 coolers in there, but there's nothing in them. I have pots and pans. I have obviously the mattress and the bedding. I have like cooking sticks over the fire and the sandwich makers, those cast iron sandwich makers that you use. Some tools in the front toolbox. I've got my side tables that attach to the camper. I've got my cook stove. All that stuff is in here right now. What I do not have in here would be, if we take the kids, which we always do, a tent for the kids. I usually put my wife and mine bikes on the back. So the bike rack and 2 bikes, that's probably another, pushing 100 pounds right there. Sleeping bags, clothes, food, not much weight with that stuff. So I would say on the things that I don't have in here right now, there's probably another couple 100 pounds of stuff at least. Definitely not going over 3,000 like I had said previously in a video. Probably more along the lines of that 2,500 mark. So now let's talk about the camper pod itself without the trailer. So this trailer is a 5x10 SureTrack trailer. And I'm actually going to disconnect you guys and show you how I'm doing my math here, and you guys can comment and see if this makes sense to you. I'm pretty sure this is accurate, but you can tell me if this makes sense. Hold on one second. Okay, so when I'm figuring out what the pod itself weighs aside from the trailer, I come down here and I look at the specs of the trailer. Specs of the trailer are, this is a 3,500 pound axle, and based on the weight of the trailer, it tells me that I cannot load the trailer with more than 2,000 pounds in round numbers. So that's telling me that the trailer itself weighs 1,500, which seems like a lot, but you think all of the steel, this tube steel that's up here all the way around, it's got pretty heavy channels for the tongue. The axle itself is going to weigh several hundred pounds. The tires are, probably 100 and some a piece, plus, or not a piece, but together. And then there's a spare. So I don't doubt that this thing weighs 1,500 pounds. Now I do have to say, the gate on the back, which is it's expanded metal and all tube steel that normally attaches right here, and you can flip it down and drive things up onto here. That's not on here. And that's pretty heavy duty. I would say that's along the lines of 200 pounds itself. It wouldn't surprise me at all if that was 200 pounds. So for ease of math, I'm gonna say the back gate's 200 pounds, and that's not on there. So 1,500 minus the 200 pounds gives me 1,300. So this trailer is along the lines of 1,300 pounds by itself. Now, if this whole unit weighs 2,300 and the trailer itself is 1,300, that tells me that my pod with the equipment that I just told you weighs right around 1,000 pounds, which all makes pretty good sense when you think about what's in here. Remember, if you watch my build series, every panel on here is 3/4 inch thick plywood, and the sleeping quarters has insulation that doesn't weigh much, but there's another layer of wood on the inside of that to cover up the insulation. So there's some extra lumber, 2 doors, 2 windows, the big back hatch door. You know what I just thought of is the toolbox. I haven't accounted for the toolbox. Now, if you watch this channel, you know that I added the toolbox to the trailer. And inside my toolbox, I've got cast iron cookers. I have some tools, some various other things. There's some metal in here. This might be 100 pounds right here. So, if I take another 100 pounds away, my pod could be around in the vicinity of 900 pounds. But I think that's gonna be pretty darn close in that 900 to 1,000 pound range for the pod itself. But the question that everybody wanted answered was, what does the whole unit weigh? And I think we just answered that without any shadow of a doubt, 2,300 pounds. All right, so that video has been a long time in the coming. I know, again, that was the #1 question that I've been asked on the camper pod ever since I built it. Now, I have had thoughts in my mind of trying to build another one of these with less weight. And if you're considering doing that and you want to go with less weight, my advice to you would be, don't build a pod that goes onto an existing trailer, because that trailer, like this one, is going to be built heavier. It's going to be built to pull things up onto. The wood decking underneath there, I don't necessarily need that for the camper. The reinforced sides, the tubing that you see here, I wouldn't necessarily need that for a camper that's a rigid box. So if you want to build one of these things and you want it to be lighter weight, I really think that you could probably build exactly this same pod. It's very sturdy, and you could build a frame attached to it and kind of build your own trailer frame with no decking and minimal reinforcement, because the trailer itself is some of the reinforcement. And you could easily do this under 2,000 pounds. You could probably come in around that 1,600 pound range easily. For me, I really like the idea of the camper pod. It gives me one less trailer to register. It gives me use of my trailer and still use of the camper. It's very convertible, if you will. My Jeep has absolutely no trouble pulling this thing fully loaded. Again, it has a 3,500 pound towing capacity, and with the manual transmission in my Jeep, I kind of control what RPMs I keep the engine at. So it's a function of how you drive with a manual, but absolutely no problems. And most of the time when we go camping, we take my wife's F-150. So the Ford F-150 half-ton truck, you don't even know that thing's back there. You just take off and no questions asked. I will also say on the other side, if you do choose to do a pod like this that goes on and off of a trailer, I chose this because the trailer is still registered as a utility trailer. And this is not permanently fixed on here. This is simply a load that the trailer is carrying temporarily. So you can get away with that. Additionally, these trailers are built by people who build trailers every day. You know, they're going down a production line and they have a good way of making these. They track straight, they're well built, and you don't have to buy Sure Track. You can buy anything else. You can use a trailer that you have. But you don't have to worry about designing a trailer if you do it this way. So we're quite pleased, and I don't think I'll be changing my mind anytime soon. This works out really well for us. So there you go. That is the number one question that I've been asked. What does this thing weigh? 2,300 pounds. So thank you for watching this video, and thank you for sticking around to the end. And that's it for now. We'll see you on the next one.